Well, hi, everybody. It's Tony D'Angelo, and you know me from the Lee Elci show, and you also know me from 30 with Tony. And on the March 31st show, I had explained to Lee Elci about this major media event that was totally uncovered by any quote unquote Connecticut legacy, or what we like to call legitimate media source. And it involved a candidate for governor, a national figure, Dr. Betsy McCoy, who was at a press conference in Hartford regarding a bill called Bill 323, if I've got that right, about the protection of quote unquote residents or illegal aliens, depending on what side of the perspective you're looking at. And what I want you to focus on here is not a matter of policy or who you like better for governor or not, or whether you believe in illegal immigration or whether you don't. For purposes of my discussion here, that is irrelevant and that is immaterial. What I want you to focus on is the fact that an entire political ecosystem, be it non-Republican participation and the quote unquote stalwarts of media, look at this thing of Dr. McCoy speaking about the bill when she had obviously done her homework as something to be ignored. And the question I asked this morning and the question I asked today is the following: is what we get from these media sources, what people want for us to believe, true? Because if we're operating on misinformation and if we're operating on non-political participation, then we need to know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two videos. I am going to show you the unadulterated video as it happens, and then I'm going to show you my analysis of the video from the March 26, 30 with Tony. At the end, I will leave you to draw your own conclusions. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day, and a special welcome to all the Kemasabis that are out there.
You have not heard the complete truth about this bill. Bill 397 tilts the scale in favor of criminals against families who need the protection of the law and, of course, law enforcement. Take a look at pages 14 to 16, which show that, in fact, criminals cannot be apprehended, not just in churches or in hospitals, but in a long list of areas: parades, assemblies, food pantries, shelters, any state or municipal building. This law protects criminals at the expense of families. It tilts the scale entirely in favor of illegal immigrants who have serious criminal records or criminal charges pending against them. Shame on the Democrats who stood up there and posed this bill as a way to protect public safety. It endangers public safety. Thank you. Betsy McCoy, Greenwich resident. This bill is a sham. It will endanger our families and law enforcement.
No, I can't. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back to the smaller view because it's too important for me. Actually, let me just do that here. I'm gonna close that. Now, notice what happens here. I'm gonna stop this as we go. I'm just gonna take the sound off here. Go back to the beginning. Now, the scrum is ended. The statement is made. The bill is about protecting all citizens. And I'm not going to run the audio because I don't want it to be garbled. You heard the audio on the way in. And what happens is, now there's Dr. McCoy, Betsy McCoy, demanding to be heard, and she's holding the bill. Now, this is quote unquote, let me just say this. I have never seen, ever, going back all the way in my years, and believe me, I might have more years now than I like, to Thomas Meskill when he was the governor, when he handed me a letter of commendation when I was a senior in Ripplewam High School for our baseball team in Stamford, our world championship team in 1972. And I've never seen an aggressive motivated candidate for governor do what Betsy McCoy did. Can you imagine Bob Stefanowski doing this? Can you imagine holy moly Tom Foley doing this? I certainly can't. John Rowland, not in his DNA. But let's watch this scene very carefully. One picture is worth 1,000 words. This is worth about 10,000 words. Now she gets up and she charges to the front. Now this gentleman here, ostensibly Kevin Rennie, is giving her the fisheye, the cold shoulder. Mr. Rennie calls himself a Republican, but apparently he's not, shall we say, enamored with what's taking place. He's got friends in the room. Now, she reads about the bill. Now, notice here, Senator Winfield smirking. He's walking away. Senator Stassrom either paying no attention or looking like a kid that got his hand slapped. He's walking away. And the campus police or the legislative police, he is under, shall I say, an order of law to make sure that everybody gets out of the room safely. He sees she's not a threat. He's not going to start, dragging her out by her coattails. And this gentleman here, I'm not sure who he is. The gentleman here, he's a gentleman of the press. No idea, but he's just packing up. He's not going to report on this event. This is the operative thing. Here is Senator Bob Duff, the Democrat majority leader. None of these guys are engaging Betsy McCoy toe to toe. None of them. None of them. They're running like scared rabbits. And here we go. Now, here's the back of the head of Susan Raff. Channel 3, right? The political reporter. I don't know the expression on her face, but obviously she ain't going to tell you about what's happening. And she turns her head like she's seen something horrible, like something is repulsing her. Now, we've looked at Susan before on this show, Susan Raff and Lieutenant Governor Susan Bisowitz out voting. The two Susans were voting, and there's a picture, and we've talked about it on this show. It's the fun stuff, it's their government. They only let you play in it when they feel like. Here is Attorney General Tong. He's running out, smirking, saying hello, totally ignoring her. And this gentleman here is sending a message. And I don't know who this gentleman is here in the shirt. I imagine he works for the state. And Dr. McCoy is lecturing what's on this bill that nobody covered, that no Republican covered, that no one in the press here decided to pay attention to. They don't want you to have the information. And we have other people walking out. The ostensible Mr. Rennie is walking out. And there's our warrior, Senator Blumenthal, putting his head down and walking out. Martin Looney, like this is almost like we did a horrible thing and we're ashamed of it, but we have no shame left. They're walking out. And she goes on to lecture. The Mr. Rennie there paying no attention whatsoever. There might be something this Saturday about that, talking about how rotten a person Betsy McCoy is. But Betsy is advocating for the safety, whether you agree or disagree with her. She is advocating to the best of her ability for the safety of Connecticut residents over illegal aliens. And they all left the room. Going to run that back. Maybe we'll revisit that. But do you get the drift of what's happening here? They don't want you to have the information to where you could be so angry like Mr. McCauley was in Philadelphia and fight. They don't want you to fight, basically. That's what it is. So when you come over to here, you say to yourself, well, these people come out and they make these pronouncements and they're doing these wonderful things and they're for us and, oh yeah, please send money. Let's look at, quote unquote, what I like to call a tight little island. Now, tight little island is like where people like to play within themselves, like these guys here are playing, and they don't want to let anyone else in the game. Suffice it to say, this was a press conference about illegal aliens having rights, and no elected Republican was present in the room. That's factual. Okay, let's go.
30 with Tony Thursdays, 3 Eastern on Twitter.